Welcome to Red Zone DFS Week 11 NFL. How you doing, boys? Ready to win some more money this week?
Oh, yeah.
More than last week.
I sure am.
Man,
last week was tough.
Showdown.
Oh no, I had my picks were pretty dead on last week, except for some quarterback blunders.
I was pretty heavy on that Seahawks-Packers game, so that didn't pan out very well.
Yeah, those are the losing lineups.
That's not great.
But hey, that's going to happen. We got to take our shots, and hopefully a game goes off. And we're going to do the same this week. And some are going to hit, some aren't going to hit, and we got to create the perfect lineup.
Nothing's worse, too, though, when you're, like, cashing already, and you're like, cool, I still got Rodgers, Adams, DK, like a huge afternoon stack to come over the top, and you're just watching nothing happen for 3 hours.
He's like, I'm just going to take a nap now.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, when you have, like, so many player minutes remaining and you're slipping is not a good thing.
No.
So, you win some, you lose some.
Well, yeah, Tom Brady lost to Taylor Heineke. I mean, we weren't expecting that one either, right? I mean,
week.
The NFL is a trip this season. Hopefully things start to stabilize a little more here as we these teams, we know their exact identities and their intentions going forward. So,
well, there's always variance, right? There's always weeks where, and we talk about it, like there's always weeks when, a big team gets upset and, weird stuff happens. Like that's some of the beauty of the league. So,
yeah, and we got to play off of those games this week. There's going to be a lot of bounce back games, I think, this week. And, there's going to be a lot of contrarian picks that we like and popular picks that we don't like because of performances last week. So let's get it started with our stacks. So we'll go with our quarterbacks. Let's start up high. Let's try to stay above 7K here. I'm going to lead off with Vinnie, our quarterback guru.
Ooh, yeah, I've only got 6 tonight, so feeling pretty good on the list.
Oh my God.
6 out of the 7 options.
He finally looked like he returned back to normal last week, and so I never really faded him, but I'm loving this Cowboys and Chiefs game. So Mahomes for me, him and Dak to me are kind of a toss up. So I'll let someone take Dak if they want, but Mahomes for me. I like a little bit more just because the stack is a lot easier to correlate as far as who's going to primarily get the points, you think, right? Kelsey, Tyreek. I love it that they're at home here. And they got some juice flowing. Raiders are slipping a little. Chargers are slipping. Like, I think they smell blood in the water here, and I think this is going to be a huge game for Mr. Mahomes.
I'm going to go with a counterpoint on that one. The Raiders last week, so after, seeing all 22s and hearing people talk about what they did and Gus Bradley on defense, apparently the whole NFL this year has figured out how to stop Patrick Mahomes, and the Raiders didn't change their defense last week. The typical Raiders thing to do, go, you know what we're doing works, and we're going to win. And they ran their typical defense, and Mahomes was Mahomes. So Dallas's defense is really good, and I think they're actually going to play a defense that is going to stop Patrick Mahomes this week. I do love Dak Prescott. That's what I was going to go to next.
Yeah.
But everyone's jumping on Mahomes because of what he did last week. But the reality is the Raiders played the wrong defense. Their pass rush meant nothing because they ran the wrong defense, and Mahomes is getting the ball out early. I don't think that's going to be the case this week.
Yeah. Here's the only counter to it is I think where Dallas's defense is quote unquote good, I think they take a lot of chances, which is why they get big plays, turnovers, things like that. But they're very, very susceptible to big plays. So again, I'm not expecting Mahomes to be perfect, right? But I don't care if he throws 2 picks, right? Or a few fumbles. Like if he can hit Tyreek on a few big plays and, Kelsey's moving the chains consistently, like, that's enough. You know what I mean? And I think this game script is perfect for this. So
he's going to be the highest owned on the slate this week at quarterback. He's at 15% as of right now. People are really flocking towards him, just like you are. I'm not going to fade him at all. Yeah, but I am going to chop it up to the Raiders, just being the Raiders, and that's why Mahomes made his comeback week last week.
Very fair. I'm with you. But so you said you're going Dak, which I do like as well. But
I love Dak. Casey's defense is not good. And again, same exact reason. The Raiders, I don't know what the hell is going on in their offense, right? They don't have Ruggs. They're atrocious. They don't know who they are. They have no offensive line. Dallas has a lot of talent on that offense, and they're going to put it on the Chiefs this week.
I love this game.
Dak, sides. In his second game back from his injury, or third game, right? He's starting to look back to normal, and they're going to start airing it out more. He's going to start tossing it up more. I love the stacks with CeeDee Lamb. Amari Cooper, I guess I got to throw him in there in some. I'm not a big fan of doing it. I love Dalton Schultz, even Michael Gallup. There's a lot of options we can go with in this on the Cowboys side here as well.
No doubt. Yep.
Jim, any stacks up higher? Do you want to comment on that?
No. So yeah, I like both of those. I would prefer Mahomes because I think Dallas is probably going to try and run the ball a little bit more. I think that they have shown that that's really the way to control Mahomes and keep Mahomes off the field. So I think that they're going to make a pretty good concerted effort to try and run the ball. I like the Mahomes side of the stack a little bit more. And I like the run backs of guys like Zeke. I think Michael Gallup's a good play this week. He's still way too cheap, I think. Schultz is another good one, but then you're going to have to decide either you're going to play two tight ends or you're going to play Kelsey. So obviously, I love that game. A guy who kind of got back on track, and you don't have to stack a whole bunch of people with him, who I love, is Josh Allen. I love the run backs options with Indianapolis. They're playing at Indianapolis.
No, so they're in Buffalo.
Are they in Buffalo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Either way, Josh Allen, he just him and Diggs. I don't really need to add anybody else up with him. That connection's kind of back. I did play some with some triple stacks with Gabe Davis last week, who kind of came back on, which was nice. I don't expect that every week. That was probably our one Gabe Davis week of the year. But the other side of that game has some nice run back options too. We've still got Pittman, who apparently people just, he's just still not expensive enough. And then I think Nyheim Hines is going to be a good one this week. Outdoors, if it's a little bit colder, they're probably going to not try and push the ball too far. I think they'll probably get Hines a little bit more involved in the game this week. He's probably the only guy I'm playing in the Buffalo stacks. But if I'm going up top, I think everyone's going to go to that KC and Dallas game, and I think it's fine, right? But it's going to create, a 2 to 3% Josh Allen who could easily score in the 40s, right? He hasn't had any rushing touchdowns lately. He's been kind of quiet on that end. He's going to regress back to the mean of his normal rushing. So I think it's a nice play that everyone's just going to kind of look past it to other guys, and I'm just going to be all over it again.
Yeah. The only other guy that I'm going to mention way up top that I have a little bit of interest in, it's not Josh Allen, but if he's back and ready to rock and roll, I will play some Kyler Murray. I think Seattle's defense is just incredibly overrated. Hopefully Kyler, I don't think they're going to run him out there if he's not healthy, right? They still have a pretty substantial lead and feeling good about themselves in terms of playoff race and everything. But it's a big game, divisional game. They need this one. If he plays, he's got that same upside, right? So
100%. I think that's a pretty good call because they've lost 2 in a row now. They can't lose a division game here, or else it starts going back the other way, right? The Niners really helped them out by beating the Rams, but still, they need to win this game. So I agree with you, Vinny. If he's active, I think you got to play him in at least the lineup, and who knows if Hopkins is going to be back. It doesn't look like he's going to be. But that's okay. Yeah. I think you can play guys like Kirk. I think you guys can play like Kirk and maybe an AJ Green or a Kirk and a Zach Ertz or something.
Yeah, I was going to say Ertz as well. But to your point earlier, what you were saying about Josh Allen, I think he's just another guy with very similar high upside that is going to be off of that chalk of that Cowboys 100%. And Chiefs game. So, that's pretty much where I got up top.
All right, so moving down into the 6K range, staying up high, though, Ryan Tannehill. He's got the matchup of the week going against the Houston Texans, the team that's not even an NFL football team. The Titans don't have Derrick Henry, and I know they're still trying to pound the ball, but Tannehill is more of a focal point of that offense, especially around the goal line. They're going to do more bootlegs, get him out of the pocket, a lot of Tannehill plays. I like the stack options as well with A.J. Brown. Julio has been hurt. I mean, he really hasn't even been that big of a focal point in the offense, even when he's healthy. So I really like the Tannehill, AJ Brown connection there.
Julio may be an all-time fade going forward for me, dude. Like
he just doesn't seem to be a part of the offense. Vrabel had problems with him when the season started. I don't know. It just hasn't clicked since he's gotten there. He's had a few injuries, but AJ Brown's still AJ Brown. Yeah. He's still an animal. And Tannehill against the Texans, I mean, AJ Brown against the Texans, I mean, he can have a monster day. This could be a monster thing that gets overlooked because people look at Tennessee and they look at this game and just going to kind of go, ugh. They want no part of it. So Tannehill, I think, is going to go a little overlooked, but I really like him this week. I haven't played him all year, so this is the week.
So this is a Tannehill week for you, huh, Joe?
I think so.
I think
so. Well, you got your clear cut bring back, right? Like you know who you're doing it with. And that's Cooks if you're doing it. So
yeah,
exactly.
If we're going down in the mid there, I'm going back to my guy Joey B. Off the bye. People forget about him. It's just such an easy thing to do to stack him and Mixon and Chase, or him and Chase and Higgins, or if you want to get really weird because the Raiders can't cover tight ends for shit. Him, Chase, and Uzomah. Right?
Absolutely. Jonathan Abram covering tight ends, man. I mean, how do you not target that?
It's just the absolute worst. And look, Uzomah is not a guy that I get really excited to play. But, I mean, for the last few years now, it's just been play tight ends against the Raiders. And if you're going to get a cheap tight end that happens to fit into my stacks that I'm trying to do, it's just an easy play for me, right? I love the narrative of a guy coming off a bye. People just kind of forget about him. They forget about, his explosiveness. And the Raiders were kind of like what you said, Joey, that the coaching is just not great and they're just not adjusting the players, right? They're kind of reeling right now. I don't know if,
So I think the Raiders on defense this week, like they're going to get a lot of pass rush on Joe Burrow. That's what they do. The Bengals like to throw it downfield. So this does fit what the Raiders want to go against. But Joey B is a tough motherfucker, and he seems to actually get better as he gets hit through games. So I actually like him more under pressure, and he has to make plays and be the guy that he is. So the Raiders are going to get their pressure. They're one of the top teams in the league in pressure. Mahomes just happened to be throwing the ball in 2 seconds last week every play. But I do like Joe Burrow. He's going to put up his numbers. He might get sacked a few times, but he's definitely going 300 plus. That Raiders secondary is beat up.
Yeah, and I love that game or that stack just simply for, like we were talking about the Cowboys, you can get weird even if they're popular, right? Like we always talk about the range. Like you can go Burrow, Mixon, Tyler Boyd. Like you could go so many different directions and get a piece of it in different angles. Like I really like the Bengals as well. I think it's an awesome call.
I just don't know how popular the Bengals are going to be this week.
I know. It's crazy.
Everyone wants to go play this Dallas and KC game. And look, like, I really want to play that game too. But, there's a ton of other games on the slate that we kind of can't ignore. There's 11 other games that people are going to be scoring in, right? Mm-hmm. So it's fine to get exposure to that game. But, I just – Burrow, I think, is just way too cheap for the type of upside that you can have with him.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I mean,
I think so as well. He's got one of the highest ADOTs in the league. He throws it downfield with the highest adjusted completion percentage, right? All the numbers that are supposed to go against each other, they're not for him.
Correct.
He is highly efficient throwing it downfield, especially to Chase. And like I said, the Raiders corners are beat up.
Yeah. And they again, they're like the worst version of the Cowboys, right? They guess. And they have these busted coverages where guys are just like running wide open, right? And they'll guess, and Abrams is one of those over the middle of the field. That's where Chase runs a lot of his routes and does a lot of his damage. So yeah, I mean, sign me up in the mid range for a little Joey B action.
And a guy that we cannot ignore right there is Kirk Cousins.
That was my guy.
Sorry, man. I mean, we both talk about it, but 18 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2,400 yards. This guy's having a career season. He's getting the job done. The Packers defense, again, doesn't scare me. I think Seattle was just, I don't know what the hell was going on last week in that game. But I think that's going to turn people off of Minnesota, thinking the Packers are this juggernaut. And Kirk Cousins is over here having himself an MVP-type season, especially for himself.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That was one of my last stacks, right? It's got very clear options as where that offense goes with Cook, Thielen, and Jefferson. He's cheap. It's got a very obvious bring back, obviously, with Adams. I also think we'll talk about when we get to running backs, but the heavy chalk is going to be coming from AJ Dillon, right? So you can pivot off of that and get leverage there. The only other guy that I'll mention, there's two guys that I'm going to take some random flyers on down here is Russ is just too cheap at 6,500, right? Like he's a guy, if they want any hopes of their season to be salvaged, like this is a must-win game for them.
Yeah.
And speaking on that, especially even with the Kirk Cousins, or if you guys want to go with Rodgers, anything, I love interdivision games where especially the two teams are still fighting for something. These games are going to be close. They're going to go all the way to the wire, all the way to the end. Teams are going to be throwing it, getting us all those fourth quarter points. These blowout games are usually in non-conference games or non-division games.
Yeah.
Right. These interdivision games, they know each other, they play each other well, and the offenses usually light it up pretty good. So
as much as I hate Russ, the price is just way too cheap. And then the only other guy that I'm going to take a few flyers on this week is he always beats bad teams and big, and he shows out, and that's Tua. Like the Jets are so bad. And they are facing Joe Flacco this week. Trust me, I don't love it. But at 5,500, that opens a lot of doors for you, man.
Yeah.
You've seen, like, I looked up, like, he plays average versus good teams. But, against Atlanta and Jacksonville, he was 25, 28 points. This year in DraftKings.
But I know you guys are jaded against him. But Jimmy G against Jacksonville, stack him up with Debo and Kittle. Ever since Debo has been playing, he's been playing the whole time, but ever since Kittle's come back, the offense seems to have changed a little bit. And Jimmy G also has some of the highest ADOT in the league. He throws it downfield more than anyone. It's kind of nuts. I know you don't want to believe in it, and they're going against the Jaguars.
I'm not opposed to it if Eli Mitchell misses.
I think no matter what, I think Debo is on a mission this year. I think the team is on a mission to get Debo the ball. And again, I think the offense is starting to just come together with Kittle in there. So,
but I'm just going to warn everybody, being a Niners fan, this is like the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. He shows out in a big game primetime, and then this next week, like the Niners are absolutely on upset watch this week. I'm saying it right now.
So I like the play, Joey. I think that the biggest risk that the Niners still have that goal line package in for Lance, right? And I think that on the road, if Eli Mitchell's banged up, they might bring that in, and Jimmy's going to have to do his damage from outside the red zone a lot. So I think there's safer ways to go if you're going to go down there. I just don't know what to expect out of the Niners right now. It's
no,
so
for sure.
hard
It's
to
a toss up.
predict.
It's a total GPP play, right?
Yeah,
like if it goes, you're trying to take down the tournament.
But it's very
100%.
weird. Like don't be misled by last week. They just, for whatever reason, have the Rams number.
And I'm not basing this off last week. I'm basing this off of Debo's entire season.
No,
as a
Debo's
whole.
amazing.
And Kittle in there. Ayuk's starting to at least get some targets, right? Because he's getting so much single coverage because of Debo.
I could just see this game being like 7-6 at halftime, and it's just a bad football game. You know what I mean? Like I'm mentally preparing myself for that. So I'm with you. That's a dart throw for sure.
It's an absolute dart throw, yeah.
But I don't mind it.
But we'll get it to receivers. But yeah, Debo. How do you not play Debo right now?
He's statistically one of the best receivers in the league. Like
he's on pace to beat Jerry Rice's single season receiving record.
He's fine. Well, I'll tell you right now, he's not going to do that because he's just not going to stay healthy the whole year. He's going to miss a game or two down the stretch here. He's already got that problem with the shin.
I know. But I'm just saying the fact that he's on pace is just.
It's wild, right?
Through 10 weeks is incredible.
It's pretty wild.
An offense that's looked pretty anemic.
What was encouraging is that they were using him in the backfield in a bunch of different ways, which was cool. Finally Kyle did it, But
But the only issue with that is that, like I said, he's a guy that has yet to make it through a full season 100% healthy. So there's no point in the Niners losing because we don't have a first round pick next year. So like you could just try and win as much as you want to, but he's at least now priced up to the point where you're really going to have to make a decision because at 7,800, I mean, that's pretty expensive for a guy that, but his play warrants it this year. He's been a stud. So,
yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on to running backs. If you have no more stacks you want to talk about.
I've got no more stacks, but what about a one-off quarterback?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, and you could stack him if you wanted to. Cam Newton against potatoes.
What's he going to be owned?
Nothing.
There's one thing his ownership is going up, but I just can't get the image out of my head of Cam just rifling balls into the goddamn floor on 10-yard dig routes and curl routes, and he just throws them into the floor. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing. People are all fired up on Cam, yelling, "I'm back! Got 2 touchdowns and 2 plays on specialty plays. Now he's the starter." I'm sorry, I'm out. But again, if he's that guy, like the hygiene guy, like Taysom Hill, sure. But he's not. He's going to start this week, so I'm out. Cam cannot throw the football.
There's a path for him to like run 2 in, and then like McCaffrey take 2 screens.
So that's all I'm talking about is you play Newton with McCaffrey. You can run it back with McLaurin, and I don't know. I really like that. Like, it's not a massive stack, right? But it's a weird one that I don't think a lot of people are going to get to. And because Cam has that massive rushing upside, I mean, he's only 5,100, right? We're talking about Jimmy G down here. I mean, I think Cam has a higher ceiling than Jimmy G does this week. So I just wanted to bring him up.
Yeah.
What about below that? Is it Joe Flacco week?
No way.
No.
Dude, why? Why are they starting Joe Flacco?
Maybe I'll use some like free crowns off DraftKings and like play a free lineup off Flacco.
just like let Mike White play. Like, who cares?
I know.
I'm with
All
you.
right, guys, let's move on to running backs.
Okay.
Jim, do you want to start up high?
Yeah. It's pretty easy for me. Just play McCaffrey and move on. He's still anytime he's going to be under 9,500, I'm just going to play him as my top guy and just keep going on my merry way. He's the only running back, in my opinion, on the slate with 40-point upside, especially against a pretty terrible Potatoes team who everyone thought that their defense was great. Now they lose their best defensive player in Chase Young, who actually is a pretty outstanding outside edge player, which is a problem. Which would have been a problem for McCaffrey, but now that he's out, Montez Sweat is not that guy on the other side. He's a pretty good rusher, but yeah, it's McCaffrey for me. It's pretty easy.
All right.
Yep.
I mean, how do you ignore Jonathan Taylor? I mean, I know the Bills are good, and people I think are going to fade because the Bills are a good team and they got a good defense. But the reality is the Colts, when Quentin Nelson is on that offensive line, they wreck shop on that offensive line. And Jonathan Taylor is probably the best running back in the league when it comes to just pure runners, not receiving and everything else. But as a pure runner, him and Derrick Henry are at the top. This game should be somewhat competitive. I'm a little bit scared the Colts are just going to get blown out. And that's the only reason I'm not playing over probably 30% Taylor. I got this feeling because the Colts have only beaten really, really bad teams this year.
Yep.
So if Buffalo, which has been kind of skidding a little bit against bad teams, if it's a close game, I'm loving Taylor. I'm a little bit scared Buffalo is just going to take off on him and Naheem Hines gets all the play, like Jimmy was saying earlier. But you can't ignore Jonathan Taylor. The guy busts an 80-yard touchdown every week, it seems like.
I'm just really worried that, one, the Bills' defense is really good, and two, Sean McDermott's a really good coach. And I think they're going to look at this, you would think, a logical coach, which like 80% of the NFL coaches aren't, but they're just going to stack the box and make Carson Wentz throw it 50 times, and just say, if
but
he
you
can
think
beat us
every
today,
team would have been
so
doing that. I mean, look at Taylor these last 8 minutes, 24, 35, 32, 22, 21, 37, 28.
But dude, look who they've played. They've
know.
played Jacksonville, the Jets,
Yeah.
the Titans, the Niners, and the Texans. Like, Not exactly a murderer's row there.
I know we've talked about a few of those
defensively.
teams, even though they're bad, they do have good rush defenses.
So
But
I'm with
again,
you.
Jonathan Taylor's that good. You can't ignore him. But there is the chance that Nahi Himes takes it because they're getting their ass beat. So I'm going to be having Taylor. I'm just not going to play over probably 30% of them.
That's fair. Okay.
Fair. Vinny?
All right, Vinny.
Barring that, he's cleared to play, I would much rather just go 7,800 and Nick Chubb. The Browns very clearly just do not want Baker Mayfield to throw the football. He's hurt, number one, and he's bad.
He's really hurt.
And he's bad. And they have no receivers.
No receivers.
So I'll gladly take Nick Chubb versus the Lions, which, when last week was it when they just decided not to give Najee Harris the ball the 1 week for the best matchup?
How weird was that?
Yeah,
So
in a rainy, muddy game.
So I think if Chubb is cleared to go and ready to rock, like for me, he's going to be pretty close to a lock bet because Detroit sucks. And there's one path for Cleveland to win this. I mean, not win the game, but like this is just prime for them to explode. So Nick Chubb at 7,800. If he's cleared to go, I'm on him.
Nice.
All right.
Are we boomeranging? Because I got another guy in a snake.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it. Snake it.
You guys hit on the quarterback, which I love too. But
Cannonball.
I love Joe, my boy Joe Mixon coming back this week.
Yeah.
Dude, he's a really good football player. And at 7,600 versus the Raiders defense, like dude, he's going to see 25 touches, I think, in this game. 25.
Just like Burrow, just love the guys coming back. Good football players coming back off a bye. It's just people just forget about them.
Yeah.
Right.
What people shouldn't ignore about Mixon too. I know the Raiders moved to Vegas, but that's his hometown team. There's something about that with players, right? You grow up with your team. That's your favorite team growing up. You're playing for the first time ever. You want to show out. That's not the basis of why I'm playing him, but it's a really nice cherry on top of everything else that we like about him.
I also think he's going to get squeezed with ownership because I think a lot of people will play Chubb against the absolutely terrible.
Dude, nobody wants to play Mixon when he's 6,600. At 7,600, he's not going to get ownership. People don't even like playing him when he's in the high 6Ks, and that's too low for him.
And then people are going to want to play Zeke as part of that KC stack.
So what do you think? Do you think Mixon's going to be like sub like 5%?
Let's see what he's at right now.
I can't see him being over 6%.
Okay, if that's the case, then maybe I'll have probably like 80% Mixon.
He's at 5% right now as of now.
Yeah. I mean, pretty close as lock bet as you can get if that's the case.
A lot of people, like you mentioned it earlier, Vinny, everyone wants to play A.J. Dillon this week.
Yeah.
And James Conner, apparently.
So those two are like the easiest fades in the entire world for me because number one, I think A.J. Dillon fucking sucks. And then James Conner is also just like, he's fine, but like, is Arizona going to go on the road and run the ball with James Conner, 25 times? Like, I just don't think that's going to happen, right? So those guys, everyone wants to flock to, and I'll pay up a little bit because there's a lot of value at receiver this week where I'll pay a little bit more for these guys. And then I think there's some good value down the board a little bit more too.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say, I mean, we might as well just loop into it, but the Vikings are one of the worst like rush defenses in the league. Like they've been gashed a lot.
That's fine.
And
right?
AJ Dillon is legitimately the least twitchiest player I think I've ever seen on an NFL football field. That's including like nose tackles.
Okay, but he still went 21 carries for 27 points last week. If he's 25-30%,
he reminds me of a much worse Jerome Bettis. And Jerome Bettis had like wiggle, right? Like I don't think he's a very good football player.
Yeah, do I.
And if he's going to be in the like 25 to like 30% own, like that's fine. Like I'll just go play somebody else. Like,
yeah. So are you guys off both Dillon and Connor?
Yes, I'm 100% fading both of those guys.
I've been fading Connor all year. There's no going to him now. It's
okay.
That's fair.
He's all touchdown dependent, and he gets nothing else. So when that game happens where he gets nothing, I'm going to be really happy I faded him.
Yeah, and with Kyler coming back, hopefully, that's going to change that dynamic of that offense quite a bit. So he can still get some goal line touches, but I don't think he's going to be relied on like he was for sure. But
No.
Below that or around there, anybody else that you guys have your eye on?
I'm going to just keep playing Michael Carter every week. I don't know why he's so cheap.
His ownership's way up this week as well.
Now you've got check down Flacco in there. Like, what is Flacco? I mean, he just loves to just check the ball down. You know, he's one of those guys.
He's a poor man's Big Ben, not saying something.
Exactly. And what does Big Ben do? He just dumps it off to the running back 500 times a game. Michael Carter, I think, is a really good player. It's unfortunate that he's on the Jets. But at 5,800, he's going to get a fair amount of volume. I think that game is going to be a lot higher scoring than people think it is. So we mentioned it earlier. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play Tua, that's a nice run back with the Tua, with the Tua play as well. I think Michael Carter is going to be my guy down there.
All right, Joe. Anybody?
It's going to be Eli Mitchell for the same reason you guys were saying earlier, not to play Jimmy G if he plays. He's their bell cow. You guys have said this week to week. He's going against Jacksonville. He's got a finger injury. He's going to be fine. Like, they're just giving him rest so he doesn't aggravate it anymore.
Well, he had surgery on it, so they put a pin in. And they're thinking they may sit him for a week just to let. So
if he plays, obviously he's ready to go, and he's going to play.
I'm with Joe. If he plays, I'm playing him.
Yeah, a finger injury doesn't scare me at all.
If he does not, don't be afraid to go to Jeff Wilson because they love him. And
don't go to Trey Sermon because apparently Kyle Shanahan thinks that he just can't play football, even though Kyle Shanahan traded up in the draft to go draft him, which I'm really confused why he did that.
Yes.
But it's Jeff Wilson, absolutely, Vinny. If he misses, if Eli Mitchell's out, I might be 100% Jeff Wilson in my lineups because at 5,100, I mean, the volume that he's getting is just going to be ridiculous.
Totally.
There's another guy down here. I'll let you guys go, and then if you don't hit him, I'll touch on him.
Well, the only other guy that I had in my lists, God, I hate saying this guy's name, but it's David Montgomery.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
That was my guy down here.
Well, why don't you go ahead and take it? Because I have an indifferent take. I just think he's kind of going to get the volume at that price point that I like, and Baltimore doesn't scare me, but go ahead if you have anything else.
I mean, they're going to protect Fields. They're going to try and keep Lamar off the field, and they've shown already this year that when Montgomery's healthy, he's just going to get all of the volume, right? Yeah. Now, they're not a very good football team, so he could only get 13 to 14 points. But at 5,500, that's okay. Yeah. But he's got legitimate 28 to 30 point upside. If he just gets in the end zone once or twice, he catches the ball out of the backfield. Fields is kind of coming along as a quarterback. So if Mitchell plays, and Montgomery's absolutely going to play, you've got two bell cow running backs under $6,000 that you can play against not very good. Baltimore's defense is not very good.
No.
Right? We've seen that already. And then Eli Mitchell against Jacksonville, you could easily play those two guys and basically play anybody else that you wanted to on the slate.
Yeah. And I mean, the other guy, we're going to have to wait and see till tomorrow when it comes out. But if Alvin Kamara doesn't practice and he's out again, I know he's not very good and he's a shell of what he once was, but Mark Ingram's going to get 15, 20 touches at 5,400. Again, 2-year volume play at that price point against a really bad Eagles defense. It's just hard to ignore these guys in good spots.
For me, I haven't played Mark Ingram in maybe 4 years.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just like Joey said, I'm personally just not going to start playing him now.
Totally fair. But if he's going to take on the Kamara role, I mean, I played him last week and 21 points. It was okay, that was a free square. Now, granted, he was 4,500 last week.
Yes.
He's up higher. So I'm just throwing his name out there as the Eagles.
It's fine. I'm just not doing it this week or ever. But
I'll throw out a name out there for you guys really cheap this week that I think he has potential to get a touchdown or two, and it's Adrian Peterson at 4,800.
Whoa.
I know he, 10 carries, 8 carries, has not been doing much at all. But again, this is the Texans we're talking about in a game where I can see them just giving AP the ball on the goal line and him getting touchdowns. I love the Tannehill side of this and the throwing side of everything. But if they start getting up in points, they're going to ride AP, right? He's a rental, right? He's at the end of his career. They're going to ride him and put those miles on him, and especially in these situations. So at 4,800, if AP gives me 15 carries and hopefully sneaks a touchdown in, he's getting value and then some. So AP is not a guy that I want to forget about this week.
I like it.
My cheap dude.
All right. That covers me for – I'm not going any deeper than that.
Yeah.
No. Please, God, no.
Receivers.
All right. Let's go with some receivers here.
I'm pretty unique here. Like all my receivers are pretty much like stack worthy guys. Like I'm trying to be more concentrated with that as far as not picking off a bunch of randos, but –
I mean, I'm personally not playing any Tannehill this week, so AJ Brown is going to be my main target for one-offs. I think him, McLaurin, and DK are my three like up top.
DK is my favorite up top one-off guy this week to make a comeback after he screwed us last week.
Okay.
And
I'd probably I mean. I know this isn't like a revolutionary take, but I'll go right back to Devontae Adams at 8,400. Yeah, I'm not playing Rodgers.
Sure.
So I'm not playing Dylan, but I do like the Viking stack. And I mean, very much so has 40-point upside, so that's part of the reason why I like some of these lower end quarterbacks. Because if you can get CMC and Adams in a lineup with, a Bengals or something else, I think it's a good play.
Yeah, I like that.
Middle, anybody stand out like mid-tier that you guys are kind of like, dude, this is my guy?
Yeah, so I mean, not that excited, but I mean, a mid-tier guy would be Corey Davis at 5K. Flacco, I know he dumps the ball off a lot, but he's also the guy that throws it deep randomly. He does have a nice deep ball.
Randomly. That's
this is the Dolphins we're talking about. Corey Davis has been really solid this year when he's been playing. So Corey Davis at 5K, I think he can go sneaky as well. He's been hurt. I think people forgot about him. So he could be a sub 1% type receiver that gets a lot of, especially red zone targets in a game you guys already talked about, can go really high scoring.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. I mean, I'm just going to continue to play Brandon Cooks every single week, and 40 to 50% of my lineups, it just keeps working. So I'm just not going to stop doing it. Hunter Renfrow is going to be a main run back for me.
Love that guy.
The Raiders are just in absolute shambles when it comes to their wide receiving core after losing Ruggs. So in the mid-range, I like him quite a bit. I've got some other guys as we go down further.
So let me ask you guys as Niner fans, how scared are you this week of Jamal Agnew?
Hold on, before we get to Agnew, the only other guy that I'm going to mention, I guess he's technically part of my stack, but Jalen Waddle with Tua back, I'm
that's part of the Tua stack. So, that's why.
But just make sure you keep hitting on the Miami piece there. But all right, keep going. All right, give us your Jamal Agnew, Michael Irvin comparison. Let's go.
Not Michael Irvin, but dude, tell me he doesn't remind you of oh my God, what was the returner's name for the Chiefs back in the day? Dante Hall.
This dude, he's really small, right?
Yeah, he's small tiny. And he is fast as shit. I mean, he got like an 82-yard, carry, and he never got a target the entire game. He got 14 points last week.
Like, what are you doing? I thought he was going to
just give him the ball. Points. This guy is your best player on your offense. It's pretty
not true. He had 5 targets just with no catches last
week. Lawrence just hucking it over his head and throwing it into the floor because he's the worst quarterback in the draft.
But dude, he has gone double digits for the last 5 weeks. So
dude, at
he's not like a flyer.
I've told you though, he's got that talent. It seems like they're featuring him again. He did get 5 targets, and he can obviously turn any play into a touchdown. So
I would play him 100 times out of 100. I'd put my next paycheck that Jamal Agnew plays better than Robbie Anderson. I still hear people talk about Robbie Anderson.
No, he caught a touchdown last week out of the grave. Basically.
It makes me want to puke.
They should
but also you have to remember Agnew, he returns punts and kicks.
Yeah.
and he's a specialist at that. If he takes one of those back on top of anything, I mean,
It's
we're
6 points.
exploding. Yeah,
You
we're
get 6
exploding
points for
there,
that.
right?
So do you go the Jamal Agnew Jaguar stack and double dip that there, or what?
No,
No,
I think
no.
you play
Okay.
one of those Niners running backs with maybe a Debo with Agnew, possibly.
Yeah.
Like if in your Debo stack, you throw Agnew in there as
But
well.
we're talking about one-offs. Like you can easily play him just.
Oh, Agnew's a total
like
one-off cheap guy, right? That you throw in the mid
Well,
4K range.
he's a guy that inside of another stack, you can play him and like Eli Mitchell in the same lineup and have a mini correlation there.
Totally.
Right. So like, yeah, I'm all about him. I'm actually going to play a fair amount of Ayuk, I think, this week because I don't know. I have this weird feeling that Debo is going to hit that shin or something again, and then he's going to be out.
Well, he's very much involved in the offense now. So
yeah, he's much more involved at $5,000. A little pricey, which I don't like, but I mean, Agnew is going to be my guy down here. Crowder, you can't ignore the same kind of thing. Why I like Michael Carter. If I like Michael Carter, I have to like Jameson Crowder. Flacco, not going to throw it deep a ton. 4,700. I like the Davis call, but if we're going to stack that game, he's a guy that I can play on the other side, right?
Yeah, and one guy that I'm just going to continue to play because he's very much receiver 2 in that offense now is Rashad Bateman at 4,500. I mean, he's getting 8 plus targets a game, 10, 15 points.
It doesn't bother you that Lamar has diarrhea again?
Nah. That's fine. It only helps.
Okay. It only helps. Diarrhea weeks are his best weeks.
Yeah. Gotta be efficient, dude.
Another receiver I'm going to go with as a one-off is a guy I was on last week that you guys just couldn't bear me talking about was Traequan Smith.
Oh yeah.
4 catches, 44 with a touchdown last week on 7 targets, and those 3 targets that weren't catches were all red zone thrown to him that Trevor Siemian threw slightly bad passes that took him out of the end zone. So Traequan Smith is their only guy. Marquez Callaway is going to get a catch every now and again, but Traequan Smith's really it. And Philly, come on, guys, it's Philly.
It's just a plug your nose and play him kind of thing.
Yeah, and again,
he's basically their number one receiver at $4,400. Like, yeah.
He got me 3x last week, right? Same with Agnew. So both my cheap guys hit with touchdowns in the first quarter of both games. I actually cashed in most of my lineups this past week because of those kind of players, So I'm going to go back to Traequan Smith and Jamal Agnew. They just got too much upside for how cheap they are.
All right, Jim. I've got one deeper guy to
dive.
3s.
Let's dumpster dive.
Who you got? I'll let you start.
All right. As the bring back of one of our favorite stacks, if he can just remember which direction to run after he catches the ball, I am on D-Jax.
So am I.
He's just one catch away from busting.
He looks good in that uniform too, doesn't he?
It looks natural. Well, he looked good until he was doing 360s out there.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. He just forgot how to play football for a second. It's been a while.
But that's okay. Whatever. They have no one else. So it's what are they going to do? Bench him? So
no, they're not going to bench him.
They have no one else to go over the top. His only competition is Zay Jones, and that's not competition. And
that's all they're going to ask him to do is just come in, run 9 routes, hope he can pop 1, maybe 2, and well worth the money. So,
and it's pretty obvious that teams are clamping down on Darren Waller this year. I mean, he really isn't doing anything.
I mean,
right?
why would you? Right? It's working. The offense is sputtering.
Well, why do you think Ruggs was getting all these deep balls, right, and having these bigger games? It was because these safeties were coming down on Waller, and this past week, they didn't have anything to worry about. So I love the D-Jax call this week.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other gross dumpster plays down here?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to, in my Vikings stack, to KJ Osborne this week. I think that they're going to have a lot of I think that they're going to probably try and take away Thielen a little bit. I think Osborne is a guy, at 3,400, we don't need a ton out of him, right? Need, 6 to 8 points. And then if he gets 10 to 12, then, we're really cooking at that point. Another guy that we kind of went past a little bit at 4,000, I think, who's going to have a pretty big week in that game that everyone likes. That he had a couple of drops in the Raiders game, and people were like, "Wow, is Mecole Hardman at $4,000?"
I'm just tired of waiting for him to come.
He is what he is.
Yeah.
But the thing is they have specific plays for him in the playbook down around the goal line with those little push pass sweeps, stuff like that, where like they're actively giving him the ball. So like at $4,000, like I don't need him to get 30 points for me. I just need like 8 to 10 and we'll be okay.
Yep,
right?
I hear you. All right.
But that's it.
You ready to go on the tight ends?
Let's do it. All right. So what are we doing? Tight ends, not part of stacks. Obviously, Kelsey.
I mean, you can those are the obvious ones. We know who to kind of avoid there. Is there anyone you guys are looking at probably in that 4K range that we haven't talked about yet or mentioned in a stack?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to play a whole lot of Jimmy G stacks. So I'm going to be playing a fair amount of Kittle as the pay up, right? I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to pay up for him. But if we play some of those other cheaper stacks like we were talking about, I think he fits in very nicely. I don't know why people just didn't. Everyone was down on him, even in Showdown last week. No, like he was so low owned. Like I don't really get it. So for up top, if you're not going to play Kelsey, or I think this is a cool week where you could play Kittle and Kelsey and just go right on your way.
You could, yeah. For me, I will continue going back to Mr. Fort Knox at 4K.
Yep.
I mean, he's just a part of the offense.
Yeah.
Well, like last week, they were just kicking the snot out of the Jets, and he's come off an injury. They're like, yeah, dude, just sit down. So that's not going to be the case this week.
But he's an actual part of the offense, right? Which is like
100%.
There's like 8 tight ends in the NFL you could actually say that about. He just happens to be one of them. So,
I mean, tight end is pretty fucking thin this week.
Well, if you guys have no one else, I mean, the other two guys that I like.
The only other ones that, like, if you want to get weird in a stack, I don't know if I can play this guy by himself, but Tyler Conklin at 3,900. I already talked about playing Uzama.
I just feel like every time Conklin has the week like he had last week, in 5 weeks from now, we'll talk about Conklin again.
Yeah.
It's like every 5 or 6 weeks, he just has this monster game, and then the other weeks, he's not a part of the game plan at all.
I think there's some other guys that are playable. I mean, like, I think you could play Cole Kmet. I mean, he's seen 6-8 targets the last couple of weeks. Like, again, he's part of the offense. They obviously don't throw to Allen Robinson and use him. So Fields has to throw to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Kmet. I think if you're going to play somebody down here, I don't know if I can get to anybody else below Kmet. Unless you guys have some sort of
I'll make one just tiny argument for Austin Hooper, and it's not because I like Austin Hooper, but it's the situation where
Hooper drives the boat.
So Chubb is going to get a lot of the carries. Hooper's their goal line guy. They have no receivers, and Baker can't really throw the ball downfield right now, and they don't want him hanging in the pocket. Tight end is his best friend. Hooper's their number one guy. Njoku gets one catch a game, so I'm not worried about him stealing anything.
What's Hooper's price? Where is he?
3,200. And it's the Lions, right? And it's the Lions. This is
Adam
a week.
Troutman.
This is a week where Hooper can easily get like 2 goal line touchdowns and just explode. And people, where the hell's this guy been?
So, I mean, dude, if he gets you like 7 points, you're happy.
No, totally. So Austin Hooper,
but I mean,
pretty much the number one target.
Like he could easily have 4 catches for 25 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, definitely.
There's just no one else to throw to, and the Lions aren't good. And Hooper will play the whole game. They're not just going to kick him out.
And it sounds like Goff is not even going to be playing.
Lord.
So,
oh my God. So who's starting for the Lions? Who's their backup?
I forget what his name was.
David Blau.
No, it's somebody else that I read that was going to start.
Steven Montez?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, from Colorado?
The guy from Colorado?
Yeah.
Dude, he's just stud at Colorado. I'm not saying he's good in the NFL, but
he's 4K. I'm chalking him up.
What are you talking about? This guy, he's not even on the DraftKings.
Yeah, he is. I just saw him.
Montez is on there.
He's not under the Detroit depth chart.
Yes, he is. No, you got to just click on the team when you're just going.
Yeah, you just have to go to QB.
All right. Wrapping it up, defense. Give one good one, and then I guess sub 3K that you're going to.
Jimmy, go and lead it off, man.
Give me the trash.
I mean, the one that everyone's going to play is the Browns, right? Like Browns are going to be like 30% owned,
dude. Well, now if Steven Montez is playing,
I think I could play either the Panthers against the Potatoes or the Potatoes against the Panthers. I think both of those teams make a shitload of mistakes. I think either one of those would be fine. I think the Jets would be in play against Miami. I know that, Tua just turns the ball over all the time. Gaskins has a propensity to fumble a fair amount. So I think probably my two favorite ones would be Carolina. And then if I'm going to go really dumpster diving, the Jets.
All right. I like the Panthers call. My other call is the Saints this week against Philly.
That's not bad.
And Philly get out of the dome outdoor game where the Saints defense is really solid.
Yeah, they play well.
Their entire team is relying on their defense with a very pedestrian Eagles team. Right? Like Hurts isn't like turning the ball over. It's not this like horrific offense that's going out there, but I can also see just nothing happening for them.
Yeah, they're not good.
And only scoring like 9 points, kicking 3 field goals, and that being their whole game. So I really like the Saints at 2,900. There's a reason we didn't talk about one player from the Eagles in this episode. So that's always a good sign for me. When not one player from a team comes up, I'm going to go play the defense.
That's a fair point, Joe.
That's a very fair point.
Very fair point.
Did you give a dumpster?
No, my other one was the Panthers. I really like the Panthers and the Saints. I'm probably going to stay more in the mid-range this week for that.
Yeah.
All right. I will say for me, the Bills are just way too cheap at 3,200 playing a Carson Wentz offense. Like that's got at least one pick six written all over.
Yeah, Wentz is going to try to throw the ball left-handed or maybe punt the ball to one of those receivers at one point because he thinks he's a goddamn superhero. And it's like, my man, you're
every game, dude.
From North Dakota.
What is he doing?
Okay, I don't know what every game, just stand in the pocket and throw the ball.
Did you see the one where he started like roll out left? He was getting sacked and he was going. He flicked it, but it was not just like a 3-yard flick. He tried to flick it like 16 yards.
He's done this like
3 guys almost picked it, and it was just like
he's done this like 3 weeks in a row. He's like getting his helmet ripped off, and he's like still trying to throw it. It's like, dude, just eat it.
That's probably a good call. I usually just skim over the more expensive teams, but the Bills at 3,200, that is way too cheap.
They're not. Yeah,
I can see it after the Colts being featured on HBO's in-season Hard Knocks and them just getting slaughtered in the first week back from it.
And then the dumpster call of the week, I'm going way down, and I will not be afraid to play the Vikings this week versus the Packers. I think without Aaron Jones, you guys talked about it, A.J. Dillon, if he flops, the Vikings are averaging 7-10 points a week. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They get interceptions. Like Vikings defense will cause turnovers. I'm not saying they're not going to give up points, but the Packers offense is not exactly putting up 50 points a game either.
If I'm going to go down that far, I would rather play the Lions versus a fucking hurt Baker Mayfield.
That's probably fair. I mean, dude, to be totally honest with you, like no Derrick Henry, like fucking Houston put up 15 points last week. Like, whatever.
I don't know about that. I mean, they just, I don't know.
Whatever.
They're just really, really not a good football team.
I think you have better odds to score positive points than negative. So there's that.
Yeah, I hear
probably. But yeah, I think you can't go. I mean, if you really need it, probably everybody outside of the Chiefs down here and the Jets, maybe not the Jets to his point, but yeah, that's it.
All right. It is
hot take time.
Call time. All right. All right. I already said it once earlier today in the episode, but my bold take is Adrian Peterson gets 2 touchdowns this week.
Wow. That's a good one.
2.
That's a good one.
I just want everyone to know that my Agnew call hit, and he did score his touchdown last week.
2 for ADAP all day.
Gabe Davis hit last week. The week before that, Brandon Ayuk, I said he would get 17 or more. He got like 15 point something. So
nope, you lost.
Well, no prize for you. What was my bold call of the week last week? All right.
You probably picked like Devontae Adams to score a touchdown. It was like super bold.
Oh, yeah. I did call Rodgers.
Like Aaron Rodgers.
Vax card, and that didn't pan out. But
no.
All right. What did you just say? What was yours, Jim?
My bold take is that the stack of Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey are going to outscore all other stacks this week.
All other stacks.
All other 2-player stacks, those 2 players are going to outscore all of those other stacks.
Holy moly. All right. I can get down
Fire
with
it
that.
up.
Vinny, you actually going to do something bold this week?
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, someone's winning a major GPP with the Dolphins. And it's going to be Tua, it's going to be Waddle, and it's going to be Gesicki.
Okay.
I just think the Jets are so bad. It's happening.
I thought you were gonna go Flacco, but that would have been bold.
Vinny's not that bold.
Would have been bold.
He's not that
Dude.
bold.
I mean, now like Flacco's kind of dust in the wind. I might be looking to Steven Montez here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! How much money do you want to burn this week?
4K. Dude,
Play
that'd be amazing.
Montez.
But yeah, I think Miami puts it to him, man. This is the week.
All right.
I just want to mention that Josh Rosen got 1 pass attempt tonight, and he threw a pick 6.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then the next guy came in and he got 1 pass attempt and threw a pick. Holy shit!
So we got that going for us on the Falcons.
The
right,
backup
guys.
quarterback's just shaving points for the Falcons.
Yep. Make sure you go to our website. Vinny updated it today to make it real nice and streamlined to YouTube. So DFSRedZone.com. Follow us on Twitter, JJ McIntosh, Vinny Levine 29, and DFS Joey Levine. Check out our content, share our content, smash the like button, and let's win some money like we do every other week. Good luck, guys.